3 years old, I always saw lots of really young content creators, and I asked my parents if we could do something like that.
Oh, here's it. Check it out. Ooh, hey Red Python.
The internet just did something it rarely does. It may have actually saved a child star, because Ryan's World is finally coming to an end, and for the first time in 10 years, we have proof that this kid might actually get to be a teenager. Now, for those of you who don't know who Ryan's World is, or have been living under a rock, Ryan's World was the YouTube channel that turned a 3-year-old opening toys into a billion-dollar empire. We're talking toys flooding every Walmart shelf, a Nickelodeon deal, mobile games, and enough branded merchandise to make Disney jealous, which of course made his parents some serious cash. But here's the thing about child empires built on cuteness and toy reviews. They have an expiration date, and Ryan's was about 4 years ago. But his parents kept forcing him to pump out the same kiddie content as if we wouldn't notice. But let's be real, watching a 14-year-old pretend to be excited about slime and superhero costumes isn't wholesome content, it's a hostage situation with better lighting. Therefore, the internet's been screaming let Ryan retire for years now.
Hey guys, I'm trying to use my Minecraft sword here, but it's not very powerful. Look.
And it looks like the message may finally have gotten through. Not because his parents suddenly grew a conscience, but because the views tanked harder than the Titanic and there was no iceberg to blame except their own greed. But this is to be expected when you turn your child into a product and forget they're supposed to grow up. So let's start with the obvious. Ryan is 14 years old now. That's the age where you're supposed to be figuring out who you are, dealing with acne, trying to fit in at school, and doing literally anything except dressing up in costumes you outgrew 5 birthdays ago. But if you pull up Ryan's World even a few months back, you'd see this teenager still having to act like he's in preschool, opening toys with that dead-eyed enthusiasm that screams my parents are forcing me to do this. Because let's be honest, the content is painful to watch. We are talking videos titled Ryan Catches the Easter Bunny, Funny Challenges for Kids, where he's doing the same scripted bits he was doing when he was 7.
I'm gonna win. Okay, I'll let you count first.
1, 2.
Except now he has a moustache growing, his voice is deeper, and the whole thing just feels wrong. But it's not just me, the internet certainly noticed. TikTok was flooded with clips of Ryan looking absolutely miserable, with captions and comments like, "Let bro retire already." One clip even went mega viral, getting almost 50 million views, basically showing Ryan doing some cringy superhero bit, and the comments were ruthless.
199,998, 999,999, 1 million. Morning workout complete. I'm ready for superhero school.
People were even drawing comparisons to EvanTube, saying he has already graduated, while Ryan is still stuck in his same toddler cycle. And everyone besides Ryan's parents are fully aware of this, because if you just look at the comments, every single comment was basically saying the same message. This kid needs to be freed. But here's where it gets really dark, because Ryan's parents, Shion and Loann, have been running this operation since Ryan was 3 years old. That's before most kids can even spell their own name. But Ryan was already being filmed for content that would generate millions, resulting in his mom quitting her teaching job to manage the channel full time, and his dad joined shortly after. So the whole family became a content factory, pumping out daily videos, building a brand, and turning their son into a walking, talking ATM. And when I say empire, I mean empire. At one point, Ryan's World made almost $30 million in a single year, and his estimated net worth hit over $100 million. So I think it's safe to say that this isn't just a YouTube channel, it's a whole corporation with a child CEO who can't even vote. Now, you would think with all that money, Ryan's parents would just, I don't know, let him be a kid, but nah. The thing about these types of parents is that they don't stop until they're forced to. Now the forcing came in the form of plummeting views and public backlash so loud even they couldn't ignore it anymore. So let's talk numbers, because back in 2022, Ryan's World was pulling almost 500 million views a month, but fast forward to today and that number dropped to 200 million. And if you look at individual videos, we are talking under 100,000 views per video. So for a channel that's 10 years old with 40 million subscribers, that's a clear indication. Now, don't get me wrong. that's still a lot of views, but for a channel that used to bring in 1 billion views per video, I think it's clear, even to his parents, that Ryan is no longer a cute kid opening toys. He's now a teenager being forced to act like one, and the audience could smell the desperation through their screens. And because Ryan's parents are clinging on to what Ryan once was, the comparison to other child YouTubers started rolling in. EvanTube, who was in the same lane as Ryan, had already moved on. He grew up, stopped making kid content, transitioned into a normal life and more age-appropriate content. Meanwhile, Ryan was still out here doing the same thing from 2019, like time had frozen and nobody told him he was allowed to age. This was proven in an interview that broke the internet. YouTuber John sat down with Ryan and his parents for what was supposed to be a heartwarming look at the Ryan's World empire.
You're on track to be a teenage billionaire. How much does Ryan get to keep of all this?
Oh, be careful, Ryan.
Instead, it just turned into one of the most uncomfortable 53 minutes of content ever uploaded. Every time John asked Ryan a question, his parents answered for him, and Ryan barely got a word in. His dad dominated the entire conversation, talking about the business, the brand, the future, everything except what Ryan actually wanted. And the audience picked this up immediately, so once again the comments were brutal. Comments like, "I can't wait for the real Ryan interview in 10 years when his parents aren't there." Other comments saying this feels like they're hiding something, or "let the kid talk." It was all painfully obvious that Ryan doesn't have a say on what happens in Ryan's world. He's just the face of it, and his parents were the ones pulling every string. But karma has a funny way of working things out, because Ryan's parents lost around $9.4 million on the movie they released called Titans Universe Adventure, which flopped harder than a fish out of water. Now, there are literal TikToks of people going to theaters and being the only ones in the screening. Critics also tore it apart, calling it underwhelming influencer junk, and what happens when underage YouTube stars with no acting talent have parents motivated by greed. And let's be honest, that last part, chef's kiss, because that's exactly what this whole thing has been from the start. Ryan's parents saw dollar signs and turned their son into a business model, and when the business started failing, they didn't pivot to protect Ryan. They doubled down, kept filming, and kept squeezing every last drop of revenue out of the brand. Never mind the fact that the FTC investigated Ryan's World for running misleading ads targeted at preschoolers, and Ryan's mom has a literal criminal record. So when you add it all up, the FTC investigation, the criminal background, the decade of monetizing their child, it paints a pretty clear picture. This was never about Ryan, it was about money. But this is where the story takes a turn, because recently things have been changing. Ryan's barely appearing in videos anymore, the uploads with Ryan have slowed down, and the family moved to Hawaii, claiming this was for Ryan's education. And according to them, Ryan's now learning Japanese, playing piano, joining sports teams, actual kid stuff that doesn't involve a camera in his face 24/7. Now, in that same interview, Ryan's dad talks about the future of the channel. He said they're at a tipping point and trying to figure out what direction to take. Maybe animation, maybe content that fits Ryan's age. He even said Ryan's main focus now is school, and if Ryan wanted to quit to follow a different career path, they would support him. Which, sure, sounds great on paper, but this is the same guy who's been running his son like a corporation for a decade, so forgive me if I'm a little bit skeptical. But to be fair, it does look like they're finally making some positive changes for Ryan. If you check out the channel lately, Ryan's now starring in a new animated video series, which could align well with what Ryan's wanting to do in the future.
What do you want to be when you grow up?
When I grow up, I want to be like an animator. I think it's really fun to do because at the end you get to see the whole thing. Sometimes I can see drafts first, and then after I can see like the full.
So from the outside, it does in fact seem like Ryan is finally retiring from that childish content and is creating more age-appropriate content without having to churn out as many videos as he once used to. And honestly, that might be the best thing that could have happened to him. He gets to be a normal teenager for once, with more time away from the cameras, away from the pressure, and away from the parents who turned his childhood into a business plan. But let me know in the comments what your thoughts are about Ryan finally retiring, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace.